but Mitch Evans and his crew might not be. The Appian Geronimo, the U-20, a little tough and late getting into the water here for Heat 2B. They're going to hustle now.
They got to put the cowling on the boat in the water. You don't see that very often.
The cowling is down, closed on the Budweiser, and Steve David is out on the water in the Art Construction. Here's the lineup: Budweiser, Appian Geronimo, if it makes it, Art Construction, and finally Carpenter Communications with Mike Weber driving.
Still no cowling on the Appian Geronimo. The crew working frantically to get that boat together. Mike Weber, John, we're going to find out if he's for real. This, also one of the older boats in the fleet, looked very good in a surprising victory in Heat 1A.
That, of course, is Mike and Lori Jones's boat. They have made Mike Weber the driver this year. Now here comes the Miss Budweiser, and our first look from the inside.
Look at that tremendous shot as Dave Villwock leaves the pits. You wonder about the need for a windshield wiper to get that water off the windshield. At 200 miles per hour, John, you really don't need it.
Now, if you look at the right spots on the left on your screen, there is a piece of plastic they've added. That's supposed to divert spray from the windshield.
And there is the cowling finally being battened down aboard the Appian Geronimo. Perhaps some new boat gremlins here. This team has really put a lot of work into the offseason. A lot of new equipment, a new Leland hull. Owner Jerry Rise and his team expect it to be one of the top 3 or 4 boats on the season, and they probably will be, perhaps not today.
Steve David is out on the course and slicing and dicing. He figures to be the competition for the Budweiser in this heat. If anybody is going to give Dave Villwock some trouble, under 3.5 minutes to go, and the boats are up and roaring, except for the Appian Geronimo. Now, in the previous heat, Ken Muscatel got a lot closer to 0 before he got out there, and he won, so maybe it's a good sign. We'll see.
Speaking of clock starts, the guy driving this boat, Dave Villwock, a master. You can expect him to have that red nose right on the line, right on time. Mitch Evans aboard the Appian Geronimo. A thumbs up, the lid comes down, and it appears they will make it out in time.
Welcome back to our Speed World coverage of Thunder on the Ohio in Evansville as we get set for the start of Heat 2B.
And we are going to let you listen in on the Racing Radio's conversation between Budweiser pilot Dave Villwock and his radio man, Lawrence Sawyer.
Going through the turn now. I'm trying to see if he's going to try to sneak up the inside. I don't think he can. 37 seconds. They're still behind you. It looks like everybody's going to go to the outside. 30 seconds. Okay, everybody's still outside of you. Watch your time. 24, 23, 22, 21. I think you're going to be slow. 8, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 11. Watch your time now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark. You already got a half a minute.
There is the start. Budweiser has the lead at the start. Steve David not able to do anything to move up and get even with it.
And that's critical because the qualifying speed for Steve David in the Art Construction, a heartbeat slower than the Budweiser. If Steve were able to get the inside, we could have quite a boat race. Right here, John, it's going to be very difficult for anybody to catch this boat. The Miss Budweiser, he has the inside and the lead.
And he looks very smooth. Dave Villwock, a very, very good driver. If he had any jitters, we suspect they were gone after the first heat. He's very confident in his ability and in the ability of this boat thanks to his crew, and looks really, really good.
You can just see the rooster tail of the boat running outside the Budweiser. That is Steve David in the Art Construction giving chase. What we have here is a race for second place. This is going to be all Budweiser if the big red boat stays together.
With not quite 2 laps to go in this 3-lap race, Dave Villwock would have to make a big mistake not to win his second heat in a row here in Evansville. There is owner Mike Jones talking to his driver, Mike Weber. He got a win in the first heat, but it's not going to happen here.
You see, Steve David, one of the disadvantages being in second place. It's just not as smooth back there. And a great overhead shot from our O'Doul's eye in the sky of our leader. Now, Steve David goes to the inside. If he can stay there and Villwock leaves a lane for him, this could make a difference.
How much stronger is the Budweiser than the other boats, particularly the Art Construction? In fact, does Dave Villwock even have to get the inside lane? He got it here, and he's got a huge lead If he didn't get it, would it make a big difference?
This early in the season, we don't really know the answer to that. The qualifying speed of Jim Harvey's boat with Steve David driving surprised everybody. He virtually tied the Budweiser, and that's why we go back to the start once again, John. It's going to be very critical. The boat on the inside with a tremendous advantage. Now we begin to spread out the field a bit as we look at our leader one more time. The Appian Geronimo up and running. It's looking more like it should now. That is Jim Harvey's crew, by the way, on the dock, scratching their heads a little bit, wondering what it would take to catch that red boat.
Well, the red boat, 140 miles an hour was the lap speed the first time around. 134 only on the second, and he may be easy back on the throttle with that big lead.
We asked Bernie last year if he minded us calling this thing the Red Rocket, which it normally is. He says, I really like it when you call it Miss Budweiser. So we will do that, Bernie, as much as possible, as Dave Villwock is going to cruise to another victory. And it's been a long time since he lost a race when he was right side up, John.
Indeed. So there it is. Miss Budweiser, the Red Rocket, takes the checkered flag. To the applause of the Miss Budweiser crew on the shore. Steve David, indeed, in second place in Arc Construction. Dave Villwock indeed is back, and the Miss Budweiser team off to a great start defending its team championship on the unlimited hydroplane circuit. Here are the results of Heat 2B and the points after 2 heats. Budweiser perfect so far, and Appian Geronimo trailing badly right now. Let's go to Steve with Dave Villwock.
David, you realize you've won every race you've been in for a long time except one.
Yeah, we're trying to let that happen again. You know, wrecking the boat, that is. So, yeah, the team's done a great job, you know, at getting this boat prepared, and I'm just trying to get it to the starting line on time, you know. It's fast, and, you know, all they have to do is, you know, make sure that I get everything out of that equipment that was brought here.
You like that clock start?
Yeah, it's fun for me. You know, it's fun. It's fun for the team. You know, hopefully it's the best show.
Today's Alamo Almanac is brought to you by Alamo Rent-A-Car. It's drive happy time again. Ready, set, go. The early years of hydroplane racing saw open cockpits, exposing drivers to all of the elements. After several deaths in the sport, Bernie Little decided to do something about it. He introduced the first canopy on a hydroplane in 1985. If it looks familiar, it should. It's based on the cockpit of an F-16. Since then, improvements and modifications have been made, all with the same goal in mind: to help avoid disasters, crashes, such as this one. The Alamo Almanac has been sponsored by Alamo, where renting a car is fun. Let Alamo put you smiles ahead with drive happy deals and services. The Unlimiteds are not the only boats racing here on the Ohio. The Unlimited Lights are racing too, and it should be a mighty competitive final. We'll see how it stacks up when our Speed World coverage of Thunder on the Ohio continues. Greetings from Evansville, I guess you could say. John Nicholson along with Steve Montgomery, and we're going to get a little light, but still plenty of thunder in our next event.
The Unlimited Lights are not quite as big nor as fast as the Unlimiteds, but they are plenty fast. The fastest will do more than 170 miles an hour in the straightaway. They run on automobile engines, not airplane engines. They make plenty of noise. This is the defending champion camp, Alamo, back there. Crew Chief Duff Taylor talking with the champion driver, Bo Scheid. They ran away with the title last year and begin the quest for another right here in Evansville. Their biggest challenge is likely to come from Wildfire. Steve Montgomery's in that camp.
Well, John, George Stratton and the Wildfire are still perhaps best known for that spectacular 360 in Kelowna. As far as we know, the only race boat ever to do that and make it back to the pit area. But he also won 3 races in '97. He'll be back very strong in '98. Other contenders, keep an eye on a brand new Pegasus driven by Steve Weber and reliable Randy Haas in the Miss Leroy.
Here is a look at the semifinal heat earlier. like the Unlimited lights also now on the clock start, dicing for position out here on the Ohio River, and that can make it a bit dicey.
Well, the clock was to become a big factor, but first you saw George Stratton and the Wildfire run right into one of the buoys. Now, that's normally a penalty, but they decided that Bo Scheid in the Alamo had pushed him over there, so it was the Alamo that was penalized. Now, just before the start, creeping along too early, we found out later, almost everybody had jumped the gun.
Here's a boat that didn't jump the gun, but didn't help any. Pegasus winding up dead in the water. Steve Weber in the cockpit, frustrated. Here are the boats that were racing. Bo Scheid jumped to the front, but he had the penalty assessed.
And Randy Haas in the Miss Leroy running very, very well. Always a contender right on the tail of the Alamo, and he would eventually cruise to victory on the basis of the penalty to the Alamo. That is the Leroy on your right, the Alamo on the left.
And here are your results. Indeed, Randy Haas takes first place with Charlie Wiggins. It's High Pressure coming in second. The last four boats either did not start or did not finish, so no points. That was then. This is now. We set for the Unlimited Lights finals, and let's see if with one heat under their belt they can do this start a little better, Steve.
Once again, the start will be absolutely critical. We know that the Wildfire and the Alamo are considered the faster boats here. The Leroy runs very well. The Pegasus, if he puts his nose in there. Stevie Weber, if he makes a good start, could be a major factor. It looks like the yellow boats are just about side by side, but there's a lot of room in between them now as they come right toward us with the clock ticking down. That is the Alamo out ahead at the start. Bo Scheid setting the early pace if he's a legal starter.
But there is the big if, Steve. We now get the word he jumped the gun. Bo Scheid again. We're on board with him here on the Alamo. He really moves it, but he's going to have to get an extra penalty on it.
At this point, John, he's a pace boat. The race is back behind him. It's not a race for second place anymore because the leader has been penalized 1 minute, and that, of course, is a lap and then some on this race course. You're looking at the Alamo coming out of the first turn. He is leading on the race course, but not in the standings. We'll have to go back and see how the race is going for second and third place.
And as we take a look back, Charlie Wiggins in High Pressure is in second place, so he is, in fact, our leader.
His dad also is crew chief and engine builder Milton Wiggins out of the Atlanta area. Will be very excited. He should have the word by now. Meanwhile, the Alamo crew knows that they have been set back. Not a happy group there as Bo Scheid goes by.
They're saying, boy, our boat is running just great. Unfortunately, it's not going to do us any good. This must not be our weekend here in Evansville.
Look at Charlie Wiggins flying that boat. He has the High Pressure running very, very well. He'd be challenging the Alamo even without the penalty, John.
He's going after him. He's right there, really, at his rooster tail. Right up on him now as they go around the curve.
Once again, the view out the front window of the Alamo. Nobody in front of Bo Scheid, as there very seldom was last year. We have to look back in the field and see what happened to his arch rival George Stratton in the Wildfire. But right now, we have a surprise leader in our Unlimited Light final, running just out to the right here, and that is Charlie Wiggins in the High Pressure. Look at him hook it on the skid fin as he comes through the second turn for the second time.
You've got to wonder if he knows that there is a penalty on Bo Scheid because he is driving so hard trying to catch up with him.
Those boats, just like the big ones, do have radio communication with the shore. And now a challenge coming up on the inside from another white boat. That may be Randy Haas in the Leroy, and we could have a pretty good race here with the two white and blue boats. Look at this, though, as Wiggins goes by the Alamo. That's got to be a surprise.
But he had a long way to get by him. It could be the angle, yet does he in fact have the lead? You can't see him yet from inside the Alamo. They're very, very close.
It could also be that Bo Scheid has received word of the penalty and is not going to break anything to try to stay ahead of this boat.
And now it doesn't look that way. It looks as if Bo Scheid is saying, I don't care if I've got a penalty. You're not going to beat me across the finish line, Charlie Wiggins. Bo on the inside, Charlie on the outside, and they head for the finish around the final turn. Charlie a bit wide, Bo to the inside. Looks as if he should be able to hold him off. He won't win, but some kind of a moral victory by at least getting there first. A way wide now for Charlie Wiggins as they head for the finish line. And there is a very happy Milton Wiggins on the shore applauding Charlie, who gets the win here in the first Unlimited Light final of the year. Number 10 didn't quite get past Bo Scheid, but with the penalty, he's an easy winner. So 700 points to High Pressure here. Miss Leroy also with 700, but does not get the victory, and Alamo winds up with 450 points. Charlie Wiggins pops the top and drifts in towards shore for the celebration. Meanwhile, we'll check the unhappy half of the scoreboard, in which everybody involved gets no points at all. Here's Steve to talk with the winner, Charlie Wiggins.
Charlie, that's a nice win for you and the old man here, huh?
Oh, yeah, it really is. We've been waiting a long time for this one. So a few years back, we won here in Evansville, and we're just glad to do it again today. We want to thank Pontiac. This is a Pontiac engine in here for Pontiac, Thunder Island, Ohio, and ConAgra for sponsoring our unlimited lights.
Next up, the big boys. And this is the biggest of the big boys, Miss Budweiser. 2 starts, 2 wins so far. And here's the guy who wants the challenge and has probably the best chance, Steve David. We'll see you next.